Radiohead in Montrese on DSL. In August, the summer was truly capped off when River and I went to see Radiohead in Montrese. Our parents arranged a hotel for us, and we planned on consuming green power and connecting to DSL before the show. It was sort of a crazy idea, considering neither River nor I knew our way around Montrese too well, and if things went wrong, the stakes were pretty huge. We could miss Radiohead touring their freshly released album, A Moon-Shaped Pool. But we were quite confident in ourselves, for better or worse, and decided to go for it. We acquired green power in the park from a couple of drum circle fellows, since the park was known as a green power acquisition centre, and the DSL had been easy enough to smuggle over the border. I believe 2 hours before the show started, we connected to DSL and made our way over to the island, where Radiohead was headlining the Osheaga Music Festival. Once we got to the festival, the energy of our surroundings picked up and became quite the sensory overload. There were plenty of people visibly younger than us, which I guessed by their outfits, even though we were only 22 ourselves, and there was a thick presence of powers in the air. We caught the tail end of M83, and Radiohead came on earlier than they were supposed to, since the duo Disclosure could not make it. It was a truly packed space where each person had someone directly in front them and someone else directly behind them. To be honest, it was too tight of a space for anyone to expect a comfortable connection to DSL in, and I'm surprised it didn't go terribly with all things considered. But as it grew noticeably darker, Radiohead took the stage, and my trip into the great unknown was fueled full throttle. It was hard to not see Radiohead as disciples of some higher entity, there to use their music to bring us to another dimension. I will explain the experience song by song as much as I can remember. 1. Burn the Witch with extended intro. As they started with Burn the Witch, I was having an excellent time. The beat was rockin', and I thought of the song metaphorically in several ways, such as the witch symbolizing the crowd's low energy. So, burning the witch was getting the shitty energy out of the way for the sake of the show. Still, I felt a strong sense of heat, and suddenly the music felt ritualistic, like we might in fact be set on fire somehow. What were we all here for, really? What did we like about Radiohead, up there on stage burning the witch? I mostly enjoyed the song, but there was a clear peppering of anxiety about this huge event. Sure, shows happened all the time, but this was now, and anything could happen. What if burning the witch meant more than we could understand? What if Radiohead understood more? 2. Daydreaming. Since Daydreaming is the second track on A Moon-Shaped Pool, I assumed at this point that they were to play the whole album track by track, at least for a few songs. Good, I thought. This would be predictable enough to rock with while connected to DSL. Then, as I listened to the lyrics, Dreamers, They Never Learn, I got the sense that I was one of the dreamers Tom York was referring to. I started to get the sense that we were about to be punished. Radiohead, the demonic disciples as they were possibly creating a set list that would kill us all and transport us to hell. We are just happy to serve you, Tom sang, and I thought it was a tongue-in-cheek sort of thing, where he really meant that they were happy for us to serve them for all eternity. But as the song ended on that note, it was actually quite peaceful and brought me to a better place. 3. Full Stop. Rather than predictably going into Deck's Dark, the third song from the album, they went straight to Full Stop, a song with a particularly dark feeling. You messed up everything, Tom seemed to tell me, shaming me for my DSL connection. This is a foul-tasting medicine, he also said, and at this point I was back to thinking that something terrible was about to happen, and that Radiohead was only drawing out the inevitable mass murder of us sinners that was about to occur. Part of why I had this notion was because Tom was particularly depressed about global warming and likewise cynical about humanity, so it seemed in the realm of possibility that the band had collectively gone off the deep end and planned to kill their entire audience at this festival. It didn't really make sense, but my paranoia was at a heightened state through the DSL, and the great unknown was playing tricks on my mind. 4, 2 plus 2 equals 5. As if the set list couldn't get darker for my particular mindset, they decided to play 2 plus 2 equals 5. The illogical math alone was enough to make me worry. Even worse, they hit the gnarly part of the song, where Tom says, "It's the devil's way now. There is no way out. You can scream, you can shout, but it's too late now, because you have not been paying attention." I couldn't believe I had missed this my whole life, right in front of my face, but at that point, I felt I truly understood what he was saying. I hadn't been paying enough attention. I hadn't seen the warning signs, and should have known better than to be a Radiohead fan because it was downright sinful. It was the exact notion planted in my brain when I was a kid and my older brother bought Hail to the Thief, the CD booklet, and lyrics peppered with dark energy. Regardless of this terrible delusion being constructed in my brain, I managed to stay positive and enjoy the song, because it was, after all, one of my favourite songs. So what if Radiohead was bringing us to hell? The music was amazing. I had to submit, because even if I was going to hell, there was no reason to not enjoy myself in the meantime. 5. Body Snatchers. For people who know the song, one would guess that Body Snatchers was likewise not the best follow-up song for someone in my mental state. However, because I had come to a kind of peace with my ultimate demise at the hands of Radiohead, and because I love that song to death, I actually enjoyed myself very much. Tom sung "I Have No Idea What I Am Talking About," which was very relatable in that moment. The song played through, and the paranoia started dissipating. 6. Nude and Reckoner. Nude was an unexpected turn, and probably the most responsible for my transition back to relative sanity, regardless of the lyrics, "You'll go to hell for what your dirty mind is thinking." Nude has a relaxation and sexiness to it that would be a shame to construe negatively, the cathartic nature of it too precious. That song was history, and with Reckoner, I somehow transitioned out of my "I'm dying" delusion. There was a similar catharsis to Reckoner as Nude, as Tom sung Reckoner, "Can't Take It With You," and I felt the sheer freedom of the great unknown within me. No one had any idea what was really going on with existence, and we were all reckoners for indulging in this game of life that we cannot take with us, not even Tom. And there was his real human feeling resonating with thousands of people. 7. Pyramid Song. This song was admittedly as terrifying in this state as one would expect. Jumped in the river, what do I see? Black-eyed angel smiling at me. Considering I had once thought that I died by drowning in the river, look back to the original devil delusion, this lyric was no comfort, but I truly decided in this moment that I wasn't going to let this fear of death stop me from enjoying myself at this show, even if my ultimate demise was imminent at the hands of a demonic Radiohead. As if all of this wasn't enough, the sky looked entirely neon green all of a sudden, and River saw it as well. "You see that, man? Holy shit. The sky is fucking green," I said, loud enough for the people we were sandwiched in with to hear. "I do, dude," River replied. The two of us stared in awe at the plane of neon green, and we didn't dare ask other people around us if they too saw it. To this day, I'm almost certain it was a trick of the great unknown yielded from our DSL connection. 8. Bloom. Leave it to the aquatic ethereal Bloom to snap me out of my devil delusion, allowing me to finally give my full attention to the performance without anxiety. I had been through the worst, the uncertainty of the calibre of the experience, and the reality of it all, so the music took me, and I more or less decided to enjoy myself, if I even had a choice. Another strange part of the show was when it felt like a little pinky finger ran its way up and down my inner leg. I couldn't tell if it was a trick of the great unknown or an actual person being creepy with my body. When I turned around to see who the potential transgressor was, I saw a little man who looked something like a Mr. Potato Head. The disturbing part of it was that his face didn't seem like his real face, like he might actually have the ability to change his face, and this was his festival disguise, an unassuming man with perfectly circular eyes and a bushy moustache-eyebrow combo. I didn't spend a lot of time spying his features, or at least I don't think I did, and I implored River to stand behind me so that it wouldn't happen anymore. The sensation stopped, and I was relieved. The rest of the night was a bit of a whirlwind. River and I went to a small bar and talked about the show while we watched the bartender free pour vodka down the throats of 3 young women. At another bar, we met a group of people and tagged along for a while until I invited these 2 sisters to leave the group and join us back at our hotel. One of them was clearly into me, though unfortunately, River and I were both far more into her sister. We shared green power with them and had a good time keeping it real, but I'm sure our sexy intentions became clear, and they suggested we take the green power outside. It was a great, harmless adventure. However wild, the DSL connection swayed. We drove back to Hip Forest the next morning, and the rest of August commenced with data entry work and musical progress.